Welcome to Herman's Hot Takes, Eyes of the Dragon, chapters 71 through 80. We're back in the lovely English office at Overware Central Catholic. My hair is doing really wacky things today, so please ignore it. And then we're going to jump right into it. All right, so we start this chapter back up in the Needle with Peter. He's back in the tower. He talks about his days. They're repetitive, except for the one time he gets sick, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. His rope is coming along. Talks about how he makes it in the dollhouse, how it's hard because his hands are a lot bigger at 18, 19 than they were at 5. And it should take him, and it's coming along. Like, it will hold him. He practices, he tests it out, it'll hold him. Says it'll take him about 5 years to complete. When he's going to hide the rope, he finds these stones underneath, and inside he finds Levin Valera's letter and locket. These are important. And through the letter and the locket, he learns that Flag has done this before. He's imprisoned an innocent man, and he killed his wife, not his dad, but killed his wife and framed this guy. And Peter realizes he knows who this Levin Valera is because he's been written about in history books. And this happened 450 years ago. And Valerie uses Flag's name in his letter that Flag has killed his wife and done this to him. And so now Peter knows, he knows that Flag is like this immortal evil. It's kind of hit him. So that's pretty much what's going on with Peter. Other people, Pena resigns. People think Flag's going to kill him, but he resigns. He's just living in his house, hanging out, laying low. The Stads disappear. Ben and his family go bye-bye. A bunch of noble families either get killed or disappear. And there's like whisperings that they may be planning a revolt out in the countryside. We learned that there were over 500,000 napkins in the basement. That's where Peter's getting his napkins from. We learned that is indirectly because Flag, that, years and years and years ago, when Flag was here before, he almost succeeded in destroying the kingdom. But Kira the Good took over, and she hired people to make these napkins so they could get back to work and get money. And Flag basically was banished by her. We learned that Brandon dies, and Dennis takes over as Thomas's butler. And as his butler, Thomas makes Dennis keep him company. Thomas is pretty lonely, pretty drunk. He's addicted to Flag's sleeping powder. And he makes Dennis drink with him and stay with him to be a friend to him. And one night, while Flag's away hunting for nobles, Thomas just starts to sleepwalk, and Dennis follows him, and they go through the secret passage, and they end up with Dennis watching Thomas relive his nightmare of when Flag killed Roland. And he's totally sleepwalking. Dennis is totally spying on him, following it, and Dennis sees Thomas just relive everything that happened that day that he watched Flag kill his dad. So that's the basic nuts and bolts of the chapter. So other stuff that's going on in here, literary wise, there's a lot of narrator insertion in here, like especially at the beginning. There's a lot of those, I cannot say, like the narrator talking, and I would have to be a much better storyteller. And you'll have to decide, and that's a tale for another day. So we got a lot of that coming back. Stephen King, it's like he forgot he was teaching a fairy tale for a while. For the last couple chapters, we didn't have much of this. And all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I'm writing a fairy tale. I better include these fairy tale things and get the narrator involved. So that comes back. We have some figurative language. We have some extended metaphors and similes. We hear the story of Yosef, Yosef was the horse trainer, and he was teaching Peter about oxen's chains. Oxen's like those, animals that plow stuff. And really that extended metaphor is a metaphor for how a monarch, Peter, as a king, can only chain your people so much before they break. Like the people can only be whipped and chained and all those things before you're going to get a revolt. That's what that story is like, symbolizing that extended metaphor. There's a simile on pages 238, bottom of 238, top of 239, where they talk about guilt. And King writes that guilt was like a sore, which we go back to and examine and pick at. I mean, I know that sounds gross, but have you ever had a scab or something? You know, people just pick at their scabs or at their sores. Oh, it's gross, but we've probably all done it. And he's like, guilt's like that, like something we just keep going back to and picking at. There's some irony, some pretty big irony in here about the fact that Peter could have made that rope a lot faster had he known, or just asked the one question. That's what the narrator says, that they weren't reusing the napkins. See, Peter's so worried about the napkin coming back, he's only taking tiny strands off each napkin to make the rope. And they're just throwing those napkins away. They would not notice that he was taking even more because they've got the 500,000 napkins and Peter doesn't think they have that many. So if he would have asked, you know, it would have come to him. Now, this section is just piled with supernatural, like your fairy tale, supernatural, strange things happening, but with a King twist, with a Stephen King twist. So I'm not going to tell you all of them because some of them you're going to have to find for yourself, I think, in an activity. But, you know, we've got Roland's ghost and voice coming to both boys. So you're going to have to explain that in detail. We've got, look at the letter from Valera when you get a chance. There's some supernatural in the letter. See if you can find it. Why can't Thomas see Dennis when he follows him? Look at that part. There's some supernatural stuff there. Oh my God, I want to tell you all of it, but you guys have to find it. We have another father talking to another son. See if you can find that part. Not Peter and Thomas. Somebody else's father is talking to their son. And the part with Flag Stream. Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you that one. So when Dennis follows Thomas into the passageway, because this, I mean, Stephen King is saying that this is a turning point. The fact that Dennis is going to see the secret passageway and hear Thomas relive his nightmare is going to turn the tide of this story. Flag has a nightmare at that same exact moment, and he can't remember what it is, and he's just, you know, he knows something bad has happened, but he's going to dismiss it because he's Flag, and not that he's, you know, he's Flag. But oh my gosh, the supernatural of it, that when he has the nightmare, the one soldier around him, I think the one on his right, I can't remember if it's right or left, one of them dies of a heart attack instantly when he has a nightmare, and the other one goes blind on the other side of him, sleeping next to him. So, moral of that story is don't sleep next to evil people, because when they have nightmares, bad things will happen to you. Oh, it's so creepy. So good. Of course, we have the theme again, the fairy tale trope of evil failure. Flag totally ignores Dennis, like never occurs to Flag that Dennis could have any part in taking him down, and the kind of not remembering, ignoring the nightmare, which is kind of a supernatural thing too. King talks about how like sometimes good gets some help, and this is one of those times that good got some help, that Flag, evil, did not remember the nightmare. So there you have it, kids. Oh, this was such a good section. I mean, it seems like it was going to be nothing, but towards the end, that little small chapter on Flag and the nightmare, oh, that's some Stephen King creepy. That's where he's kind of sneaking back in his traditional, like, I am the dude who wrote it, and you better remember it, because these soldiers are just going to die next to him. Oh, what? All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.